Welcome, everyone. You are tuned in to the Get Local podcast, where we dive into the world of entrepreneurship and we bring you valuable insight that you can use in running your business. I'm your host, JoAnne Fowler with Get Local. I'm a partner and also a business coach. Get Local is a community for only business owners, so we hope that you will join our Get Local community. Also, I am bringing this broadcast to you from 864 Sound Studio here in Greenville, South Carolina. Today, I'm excited. In this episode, we have a special guest and local business owner, James Silvers. Welcome, James. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
James is the owner of Stickman Mobile Welding, and so he is a local business owner out of Travelers Rest, and we're so excited to have you on our podcast today, James.
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, James, with Get Local, one of the things we do, we love local businesses. And so we like to bring some local business owners in to talk a little bit about your business, of course, because we want to help you get the word out about who you are and what you do. But we also want to share some insights with some of our business owners who may be listening to this podcast about what it's like to own a business. So tell me a little bit about who is Stickman Mobile Welding.
Like I said, my name's James Silvers. I own Stickman's Mobile Welding Service. I started my business about last March, so I'm fairly a new business owner. I got 3 girls. Like I said, I live in Travelers Rest. I'm married. I have 3 girls, and it's decided to start my business because it's all about my kids and thought I could give them a better life, have my own business.
Wow. So when did you actually start, James?
I started last March.
Last March. And so what is mobile welding? What does that entail?
Mobile welding is just a big convenience. As far as, you have these companies, this time is money. And I truly believe that. So, if you're working on a job and someone can come fix your trailer, maybe you have a crack in your trailer or whatever it may be, that is hindering your trailer to perform to its duty, then I can come on the job site and fix it for you.
Okay. So, have you always wanted to do welding?
Yeah, I went to Greenville Tech in my early 20s. I've always, whenever, I went to a career center in high school, I actually didn't like welding. I went for culinary arts.
That's a big difference there, James.
Yeah, that's a big difference. So, me being in the culinary arts field, I was kind of struggling, trying to make money, which you really can't make any money unless you go to these big companies. So my father-in-law came to me and was like, hey, I see you struggling. You got your first kid. How about you learn a skilled trade? So that kind of stuck with me, and I got accepted into Greenville Tech, and, it went on from there.
Oh, and so what made you want to start a business instead of going to work for someone else?
Well, it started last year, about, last January. First of the year, got through Christmas, and I was actually working for a big grading company in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I was driving back and forth from Charlotte, North Carolina to Travelers Rest every day for about 9 to 10 months. And it was just like physically exhausting having to wake up at like 3:30 in the morning and leave, have over a 2.5 hour drive, and that's without traffic. So it just got exhausting. I'm like, look, I'm gonna go ahead and start my own business. Whether I'm ready or not, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Well, now, I told you when we were kind of off camera, I absolutely love your name, Stickman Mobile Welding.
Yep.
So how in the world did you come up with the name Stickman Mobile Welding?
It kind of just stuck with me, through welding school and through my first job as a welder at my first company. I got to the point where, I do mostly stick welding. And funny story is that I actually would always, when I was learning how to weld, I would always stick the rod to the metal. And then my father-in-law would always, kind of give me crap about that. And that kind of stuck with me. So I'm like, hey, why not?
Why not? I love that name. I think that's wonderful. So mobile welding, what do you do with mobile welding?
So with mobile welding, I'm convenience on-site welder. that comes to you, whether your location is, at a customer's house, maybe doing some landscaping work or, cutting the grass, then, I come to you because I truly believe time is money and time is of the essence. I just, I offer quality work and also experienced and I have reliability.
So who's calling you? Is someone calling you because they're broke down on the side of the road and they need some welding? Is it a new construction site? Is it a large commercial business? Who's your customer?
It's kind of like a large, kind of like a large area of, people call me as far as like if it's lawn care, services, landscape companies, grading companies, the list can go on and on. If it's metal and you own a business, and you have a trailer or heavy equipment or whatever, you're hard on that equipment. You bought that piece of equipment because it's going to make you money. So something's going to eventually tear up. So, that's where I come into play. So I'm getting calls from all kind of people, but majority of my business is a bunch of landscape companies that has trailers. Everybody's on the road. They're trying to, make a living. They're hard on their equipment. So if something breaks, they're going to give me a call.
That's great. So how are people finding out about you, James?
Well, right now, I do not have a website set up as at the moment. I do have a Facebook page. It's Stickman's Mobile Welding Service and Fabrication. So I do offer fabrication services as well.
So if we were to tell our listeners, to who would you look for to call you? Who should we be out there telling everybody about Stickman Mobile Welding?
You know, landscape companies is a big one. Even though I have experience with heavy equipment, I haven't been able to do too many jobs because those guys are just, busy. So it's hard for them to stop their piece of equipment to get fixed. They just, they might have another excavator bucket that they can use, in the meantime to fix the other one. But trailers is a big one for me. So I do anything as far as, you might have a cracked weld. I also offer free inspections and free quotes as well. So I don't ever charge for that. So I want to make sure your equipment is, in tip top shape.
Now you're over in Travelers Rest, so
Yes, I am.
where do you service people? Only in Travelers Rest?
No, I go all over. Yeah, I mean, I try to stay 30, 35 miles around my area. So whether it's Travelers Rest, Greenville, Taylor's, Greer, I've been as far as Lawrence, but that has to be kind of like a good job for me to go that far. But yeah, Travelers Rest and surrounding areas, I cover.
Okay. And what about mobile? What do you have? You have a box truck?
I have I drive a 2016 dually, and I have a SA250 weld machine on a trailer that I pull behind it. It's a Perkins diesel machine. So this machine, I love it. It's a beast. I've had this machine for 4 years. It's outlasted 3 other weld machines so far. It's just that reliability. These machines are used to being reliable because they use them on a pipeline. So, I always, and it's striving for reliability.
So, James, tell me a little bit about, being an entrepreneur. Are you a solopreneur? Do you have any employees or is it just you?
No, as right now, it's just me. I'm a one man band. I'm the only welder. God forbid if I have to find another welder to help me because it's really hard to find. I'm 32 now, so if there's a young guy that's wanting to learn how to weld, I would love to teach these younger kids how to weld.
So is it hard to find people to work, James, because they just don't want to work, or is it hard to find people who have the skill for welding?
Yeah, I think it's hard for people, for me to find people that has the skill because the welding I do, it's pretty critical. So you gotta offer that quality, weld. Yes, and you might be able to find a cheaper welder to do this job that you might have, but when I show up, I offer quality work. So you're going to be happy with it. I'm going to make sure the customer's happy.
So now you said you went to Greenville Tech and
Yes.
received your training. So would you hire someone who didn't have a certification, or would you prefer they go get the certification and then you
No,
give them the experience?
no, you don't have to have no certification at all. I would love to just teach somebody to learn how to weld. And I can kind of help them weld, show them how to weld, and have that skill that I possess.
Yeah. I hear a lot from business owners that it's really hard to find people who want to work these days. So a lot of folks who are advertising say people just don't even show up for the interview because, they're just not wanting to work.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's life. I mean, some people, have that drive to work, and some people don't.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, it's so hard for me to find somebody if I ever need any help, because you're dealing with the heat, you're dealing with welding, getting burnt all the time. So there's a lot of factors that people are, ain't really wanting to do.
Wanting to get
Yep.
into that particular trade. So running your business, you're a one man band, as you
Yep.
said earlier.
Yep.
So what with Get Local, what we try to do, and the reason why we're doing this podcast is we're not trying to bring CEOs of large corporations in here to talk about how grand business is because they've got 500 employees working for
Yep.
them. We want to bring in the local small businesses so that we can really talk about the challenges and the successes that you may have as a business owner, but being a solopreneur, talk to our audience a little bit about, what are some of what is one of your biggest challenges you face being a small business owner?
I would say one of my biggest challenges is just getting my name out there. I mean, being a new business, you have your ups and downs. I've been in business this month to be a year and a half, so I'm still fairly new. So I'm still trying to reach that audience, reach that people that need my business. And being a new business owner, marketing ain't always in the budget, so you have to
Right.
hustle, you have to go to places, hand out business cards, do cold calling on Google, and that's what it's all about, is just trying to get your name out there as fast as you can.
So how do you juggle all of that, James? I mean, you said you got three girls.
Yes, yep, I
And
do.
that in itself is a challenge.
Yeah, yes, yes,
Okay.
it
So you
is.
got three girls, you're a solopreneur, you're driving within 30 miles of Travelers
Yep.
Rest, so you're out there on the road all the time. How in the world are you going to all these networking events and trying to pass out your cards?
It's just, the drive. It don't matter how late I'm out. It's just if I can make, they say, you make that one connection, and sometimes that's all it takes. So I just have that drive and that hustle, and yeah, I mean, I might get distracted by life and my kids, but I'm still trying to stay on track to try to get my name out there.
Are you finding that it's hard to have that work-life balance? Because, having girls at home, daddy's kind of an important role in their
Yeah.
life. So are you able to do that balance, or do you
I
find
mean,
that's a struggle?
it's definitely a struggle sometimes. Sometimes, has its ups and downs, as far as like there might be, I don't really have a schedule, so I'm day to day as far as work goes. So I might not have nothing for a couple of days. First start of the week, then I might start getting some jobs. Wednesday or Thursday. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a struggle. Being able to be there for your kids and your wife, and take care of them and their needs. It's definitely tough, but it's definitely, I'm not one person to give up.
Yeah. Well, and I think persistence does pay off.
Yep.
And sometimes it's kind of the tortoise and the hare, where the slow and steady as the turtle went,
Yep.
you win the race.
Yep.
And you may see some who run the race really fast and then they kind of expand really quickly. But, slow and steady as the race, that persistence, I
Yep,
think, is
slow.
definitely
Yep.
important.
Yep, slow and steady definitely wins the race. I know that me getting my business out there is going to take time. Maybe take more time than I want it to, but I know deep down it's gonna, my name's gonna get out there.
Well, you mentioned, and I'm sure this is one of the perks, you don't have that 2 hour drive going
Yep.
back and forth to Charlotte
Yep.
anymore. But what is the benefit? What do you think is the greatest thing about owning your own business?
I think the greatest thing is just making your own schedule, being your own boss, making your own schedule. I mean, I've always dreamed about, owning my own business and being my own boss. If my kids have, awards day or, a sick day or whatever it may be, or my wife has something going on, I can be there for them. I can drop what I have to do. But like, look, I got something going on with my kids. I got something going on with my wife. I might have to move a job till later that day or the next morning or whatever it may be. But, being your own boss and setting your own schedule definitely has its perks.
Well, I think if someone sees their family as important as it
Yep.
sounds like you do, your
Yep.
family, then being your own boss, being a business owner is definitely one of the greatest perks I think you can
Yep.
experience. So if you were talking to another business, James, and they're struggling a little bit right now, they're a new business owner and they're struggling and they're thinking about giving up, what would you say to them?
I would say, don't give up. That's the biggest thing, because a lot of people, it's easy to give up, and I know times get hard. Like last winter, I really struggled with work. Luckily I was able to provide my kids with a good Christmas. But other than that, I really struggled, with work and, making the money to provide for my family. But, I didn't give up, because I know that God had something planned for me, bigger, so, yeah, don't give up. But I mean, make sure you're ready, to start your own business. Cause it's definitely hard.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of my next question is, if there's somebody out there and they're saying, I'm kind of tired of being tied to that corporate
Hmm.
timeline, checking
Yep.
in the morning and checking in at night, missing my kids' plays,
Yep.
or not being able to help my wife stay at home or my husband stay at home with the kids when one of them are sick. I think I'm going to start my own business. What would you say to that person?
I would definitely say go for it. What's the worst that could happen? Go back to your same job, or find a different job.
Mm,
Cause me, I quit my job 2 different times. Before the Charlotte job, I was working for this company for 5 years. It was my first company I worked for since, I, got out of welding school. So, I quit my job 2 different times bef- before I finally decided to start my own business and go full
mm.
time with it. So, it's definitely not easy, but, definitely don't give up.
So, what would you say the one thing they need to make sure that they think about or they consider before they start their business?
Definitely consider, kind of what road you gonna have ahead of you, and definitely consider, if you have a family, definitely consider your family. That's the biggest reason. The reason for starting my business is my kids. Starting my own business, I thought that, you know, I would better provide them with a better life. Yes, it might be a struggle, to start, but you eventually get there. It's just gonna take time.
Yeah. So, James, you mentioned earlier, marketing is probably an area that you struggle with.
Yeah.
Would you think that that's probably what most business owners struggle with?
Um, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say all businesses. I mean, some people, they have, you know, they have they can actually create their own marketing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like me, I don't really have any experience with that, so I struggle with that. So I'm like, okay, do I need to seek out some marketing? Figure out what my budget is. Can I afford it? Because I mean, some people say, you can't afford not to get marketing.
Right.
I don't really necessarily think that's true. Like, either you can afford it or not, and
Mm-hmm.
if you can or can't, or if you decide to go for that marketing, then you need to make sure that there's somewhat a guarantee, and then you're going to get that return, instead of just having money come out of your account every month and not getting any return out of it. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the biggest struggle for me, and nerve wracking is trying to find the right marketing agency, so I know that I can get work and I can afford it and get my return and some.
Mm. Well, James, I just met you today, but, just listening to us talk in this interview, the one thing that I've heard you say multiple times is quality work.
Yep.
You're not going to go out and do something quick. You're not going to do shoddy work. You're going to
No.
go out and do really good work for the people who hire you.
Yes, ma'am.
And a lot of times that's the best marketing that you can have.
Yep,
Because if you go out and do a good job, hopefully those folks are going to be telling other people about what a great job you did.
Yep.
And not only that, but calling you back. Because, if you said landscapers were your number one customers and they're rough on their equipment, they're going to probably have to call you back 2 or 3 or 4
That's
times.
right. Yeah.
So, definitely continue to do good quality work. And for our listeners are in need of a mobile welder, I definitely hope that they will give you a call. I do have one last question for you, James, and I didn't tell you what this question was.
Okay.
I always like to ask anybody who's watching my podcast and then comes on, they'll know already. But my last question is, if you could choose one superpower, what would it be and why?
Let's see. I would probably say probably superpower, probably flying, because I could get to jobs. Flying and super speed, I could, because sometimes there's not enough hours in the day to get done what I have to do. So, if I can be, that much quicker and get there that much faster, then that would definitely be helpful, because then I could spend more time with my family.
There you go.
So,
I'll tell you sound like you're a great family man.
Yeah.
Your girls are blessed, and your
Yeah.
wife to have you out there working hard to provide for them. So
Yes, ma'am.
for my listeners, if any of you are in need of a mobile welder, don't go anywhere else. Get some quality work by calling
right. That's
James
right.
from Stickman Mobile Welding. So I just want to say thank you for joining our podcast today. I hope if you like what you heard that you will go ahead and follow us on all of our social media platforms. We're out there on everything. You can visit our website at www.getlocalconnect.com. Join our business community with other like-minded business owners. We'd love to have you be a part of that community. And I hope that you will join us for our next episode, where we bring back other business owners who are local, who can tell us a little bit about what it's like to own a business. Also, if you're looking to have a podcast, please reach out to 864 Sound. Brandon Higginbotham is our owner, and he would love to do a podcast for you. Thank you for joining us. Follow your dreams. Hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.